make the mother breastfeed the child, give a good name to the child, give aqiqah to the child. So the child has many rights. So much so the fuqaha, the scholars, they have mentioned. For instance, the aqiqah. They said, if the father died without making the aqiqah for the child, before we divide the inheritance, the wealth, we take the price of the aqiqah. This is the right of the child. Because if you don't make aqiqah and you are able for the child, he will not intercede for you. He will not make shafa'ah for you. So you give the child his rights. At the time of Umar ibn Khattab, a father came complaining about his son. And Umar brought the son. And the son said, "Oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was ungrateful to me and unfair to me. Ask him, what is my name?" He said, what was his name? He's Ju'ul. Means beetle. Dung beetle. You know the dung beetle? The beetle that moves the dung. That's the name he gave for his son. And anyway, and the boy started to mention many things. Then Umar turned to the father and said, and you expect him to be dutiful to you? You expect the child to be kind to you? So this teaches us that we have to take care of our children. This is a blessing from Allah. Subhanallah. Just before he comes to being, before the consummation, before the intimacy, you have to pray to Allah. And you have to say, Allahumma jannibna shaitan, wa jannib shaitan ma razaqtana. Oh Allah, save us from the Satan, and save our progeny also from the Satan. So if you say this dua, Allah will save your child. Allama Ibn Hazm rahimahullah said that Muslims were collectively agreed upon the impermissibility of every name which means service to anyone other than Allah. Like slave of Al-Hussein, slave of Ali, and things like that. Such as Abd Umar, slave of Umar, Abdul Kaaba, slave of the Kaaba, and the like, except Abdul Muttalib. Ibn Hazm is saying except Abdul Muttalib, but he's mistaken, because he thought Abdul Muttalib is a name, and he thought it is Al-Muttalib is Allah, one of the names of Allah. But Al-Muttalib, why Abdul Muttalib is called Abdul Muttalib actually, that he was in Medina with his relatives, and when he was brought to Mecca as a boy, because during it was summer and hot, his skin turned black, because of the heat. So the people, they said, who's that with Al-Muttalib? They say, Abd, but he's his son. And then the name went on. So the Muttalib is not one of the names of Allah Azza wa Jal. Therefore, you cannot call your child Abdul Muttalib. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma commented upon the above ayah by saying, this narration is weak. لما تغشاها آدم حملت فأتاها إبليس فقال إني صاحبكما الذي أخرجتكما من الجنة لتطيعني أو لأجعلن له قرني أيل فيخرج من بطنك فيشقه ولا أفعلن يخوفهما سمياه عبد الحارث فأبيا أن يطيعاه فخرج ميتا ثم حملت فأتاهما فذكر لهما فأدركهما حب الولد فسمياه عبد الحارث فذلك قوله جعل له شركاء فيما آتاهما. The meaning, as we said, it is weak. This narration is weak. When Adam had sexual relation with Eve, she became pregnant. At that time, Iblis came to them and said, I am the one who caused your expulsion from paradise. Otherwise, I shall cause your child to grow 2 horns like a deer, by which he will puncture your belly when he comes out. I will do it. I will do it. Satan thus frightened them, Adam and Eve, and said to name the boy Abdul Harith, slave of the earth cultivator. They, Adam and Eve, did not obey him, and a dead child was born to them. When Eve became pregnant a second time, Satan again approached them and repeated the same demand. But again they did not obey, and the second child was still born dead. She, Eve, became pregnant a third time. Satan again came to them and put the same demand, mentioning what had happened before. Adam and Eve were overcome by love for the child and named the boy Abdul Harith. And this is what Allah said in the ayah, they made partners with him for what they were given, reported by Ibn Abi Hatim. So this story, the isnad is weak, and it is impossible there's a prophet of Allah who is ma'soom, who is protected to do shirk and call his son a servant of another human being. So if you hear this story, you know it is not authentic. Are you following? Okay. And this you can find it in many books of tafsir. So the ayah talks not about Adam and Eve, human beings in general. The human beings in general. They made partners in giving obedience along with him, but not worship him beside him. So Ibn Abi Hatim is trying to explain the meaning of this narration. But the whole narration is not authentic, so there is no need to try to justify or try to convince the reader. Chapter 51. Plus the same story. Shaitan cannot grow horns for a child. Do you expect a prophet to believe this? It's impossible. A child will have horns. Who will grow horns except the Creator? Does the Shaitan create? No. Chapter 51. The most beautiful names belong to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ. And all the most beautiful names belong to Allah. So call on Him by them and leave the company of those who belie or deny or utter impious speech against His names. So all the most beautiful names of Allah belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah's names are classified into 2 categories: transitive names and intransitive names. transitive names, intransitive names. What does this mean? For instance, Ar-Razzaq is a transitive name because to provide means you provide someone. You know, first of all, what is transitive and intransitive? In grammar, in English, the transitive verb is what requires an object. The intransitive doesn't require an object. So, for instance, write is the verb write is transitive. I wrote a paper. Okay, so it is transitive. But